So for those of you guys who are interested in dating overseas, maybe you've seen videos of all the amazing, fantastic, beautiful women on the internet, whether that's on TikTok, Instagram, from Colombia, from Brazil, from the Philippines, from wherever, and you're interested in trying out the international dating market, while there is a lot of great things about dating overseas and the pros outweigh the cons, there are a couple negatives that I want to let y'all know before you start your journey when it comes to dating overseas, okay? So I'm going to keep it 100 with you guys. I'm going to keep it a buck, but let's get the video started. Let's go.
Hey, Jamie Woods, we here to travel and motivate. No curry, we just trying to keep our minds in a golden state. We answer to nobody but the Lord, we control our fate. Too many things to see just to sit in a hole and bake. We growing, ayy.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jamie Woods back at it with another travel video. And I know you guys like those dating videos. Know you guys like it when I talk about dating, because let's face it, who doesn't like to hear about what's out there? And oh, make sure to check out, of course, the merchandise on the Teespring website. Link in the description. It's been Gato, how you been? I'm scrolling around and I passed by one of your videos of you dancing. I didn't know you were a dancer.
You didn't know?
You never told me.
Kid, I danced por un tempo.
I'm gonna go over 5 negatives when it comes to dating overseas. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you guys, because the thing is, I want you guys knowing what you're getting yourselves into before you get yourself into it, right? So me, for example, I dove into it without knowing anything, and there were several things I had to learn the hard way. And I don't want you guys to go through that, because trust me, there are some real ugly things about dating overseas. And so I want to get to all that stuff. So let's get started. Number 1 is the language barrier. I mean, this should be very obvious. So now in the year 2024, there are a lot of women and a lot of people overseas that do know English, but it's not the best English, right? And then on top of that, you do still have a lot of people that don't even speak a lick of English because they don't got to, right? So for example, in a place like Colombia or Brazil, where they speak Spanish or Portuguese, there's no need for them to really learn English. They don't got the resources or the money in order to pay a tutor to teach them English. So if you are going to a foreign country, make sure to learn a little bit of that language. So whether that's Spanish, Portuguese, whatever the case is, you want to know a little bit of that. So I recommend for you guys to use tutoring apps or language learning apps, language exchange apps, so that way you can meet people, but also you can learn that language, so that way when you go to that country, you're better prepared. Because if you do not prepare, guys, I mean, there's a saying that says, fail to prepare, prepare to fail, right? It goes something along those lines. So if you're not preparing yourself, you're not going to have too much success overseas unless you're paying for it, which is what a lot of people do, okay? But if you want authentic dating, which is why you're watching the video, because you want to see what else is out there, you want to actually date overseas, I'd recommend to learn a new language. I remember when I first started dating overseas, when I was dating women that didn't know English, it would be a little awkward because you're over here passing around the translator and you're typing shit up and you're showing it to her, and then she's taking it and then typing it up and she's showing you, and you could barely even have a deep intellectual conversation with them. They might be saying certain things to their friends or people, the taxi driver, Uber driver, whomever, and you don't know what they're saying. So it also kind of puts you in a position where you're kind of lost like a fucking deer in headlights, or it could put you in dangerous situations, which we're going to get to later on. On top of that, it can be a little frustrating when you guys can't communicate fluently. It gets frustrating, so be prepared for that, where maybe you're telling her something and she's not understanding, and you're trying to reword it, rephrase it. She's still not understanding. Maybe you put it in the translator. Maybe she's still not understanding, because the thing is, these translators aren't always accurate. Sometimes you may put something and it translates it and it's not what you're actually trying to say. It could even offend her possibly. So that's the thing. There's going to be a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of frustrations. Maybe she's telling you something, you're not understanding it because of her accent or the way she's pronouncing things, and then she's going to get frustrated. And that's what I'm saying, guys. Just be prepared for that. And on top of that, like I said, to end it off, learn the new language and try to learn as much as you can. Number 2 is culture shocks. Now, not every culture is going to be like the American culture. In Latin America, they have a completely different way of doing things. In Europe and Asia, different way of doing things. So do your research on these countries and these places before you go there, right? Because the last thing you want is going to a place, free willy, not doing your research, and now it's all hitting you at once when you get there. I'm not trying to say that you're not going to go through culture shocks, because you will. It's a rare occasion. But you don't want to be that type of guy that the typical American tourist that go to these places has no idea where he's going, has no idea what the culture is, and now you're in a very weird predicament. And a lot of these other cultures have different social norms, traditions that they do that maybe you're not cool with, right? So I know in certain Muslim countries, I know they have the women dress up, and if you're a woman going into a mosque, you have to dress up. You can't go the way you are with skin showing, right? I know to certain people that might rub them off the wrong way. However, you have to understand it's their country, their rules. Maybe you're in a country like, let's keep going with the Muslim countries, the Middle Eastern countries. Maybe you're with your girl, right? You're with your girl, you go to this country, and they're like, hey, if you guys aren't married, you can't stay in the same room. Now you're going through that BS, right? And you as an American, you're going to start complaining with these people, or maybe even complaining to the woman herself. And you're like, no, but in America, we do it this way. Bro, the world does not have to be like America and do the same thing that America does. The world is much different than America, okay? And they don't have to be just like us. They could do their own things. That's why they're a different country, okay? So they have different rules, different laws, different customs, norms, traditions, etc. So you as an American have to do your homework, right? And when you land there, you have a better understanding, and you have to be very respectful of these cultures, right? If you want to be able to have a successful relationship with a woman overseas from a different country, you have to respect her culture. Because the number one thing, or one of the worst things that you can ever do, is disrespect their country or their culture in front of them. They're going to feel a type of way. Make sure that you're doing your homework before going to these places. And if something isn't cool with you, right? So if you do your research and you see, okay, I'm not cool with that, then that's not a country you should be going to. You should be going to another country where it's more similar to you. So for example, if you're very woke and you're into the Western ideologies of America, a place you should be going to is probably Europe. Because Europe is especially Western Europe, because Western Europe is very similar to the United States, right? They still do have their differences, but it's the most similar that you can get. So the United Kingdom, go to those type of places. Don't go to a Middle Eastern country or an Asian country or a Latin American country where their cultures are completely different than ours, because you're going to go through it and you're not going to have much success, because you're going to come off as the typical disrespectful American who feels that everyone needs to be like America. The rest of the world does not need to be like America. Number 3 is women using you for money. Now, while there are a lot of amazing, educated, phenomenal women overseas, however, a con that I have when it comes to dating overseas that you encounter, depending on where you're at, is you will encounter women that don't like you for you. They just like you for the money and the resources that you have. Because as soon as you tell them you're an American, ding, like the Benjamin Franklin is going to pop up in their head. And they're going to treat you as such. They're going to treat you like an ATM machine. So 1, do not lead with your pockets, because sometimes we do have to blame ourselves as Americans for these type of incidents, right? So I've seen many horror stories where Americans were used for money, like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars being spent on a woman, where they're giving this woman money every single month, and the woman is literally cheating on them with a local guy, or the woman has no intention of meeting with you, or whatever the case is. Don't be this guy. Do not lead with your pockets. I have a whole video about this that I made. The info card is going to be over here. Make sure you click up on that to see that video. But guys, listen, do not lead with your money. Do not lead with your pockets. Stop going into these countries, flexing, throwing money up in the air, making it rain and all that, because you're going to attract these type of women that want you for the money. But let's just say you're on social media, you're on a dating app, you meet a chick, and the chick asks you for money. Say no. Tell her, hey, I don't know you like that. I've never met you in person. Let me get to know you in person. We'll see where it goes from there. Because I do get the flip side of it. I understand some of these girls are really, truly struggling. They're not eating like that. They're going through shit. They live in the hood, whatever the case is. Not saying all of them, but there are a good amount that are going through real shit. So I get it. They need money. However, at the same time, that doesn't mean that you need to be the freaking ATM, the Mr. Superhero, come to the rescue and give these girls money. Nah, they gotta earn that shit, dog. Do not give them money. Do not lead with your wallet. Don't make it rain. Stop flexing. Stop wearing all this designer shit, right? Because you're making yourself a target. Now, I'm not saying that when you're with them that you shouldn't spend on them, right? So if you guys are going out to a restaurant, of course, go spend money on that. That's fine. It's okay to spend money on experiences. So if you guys are going on a helicopter ride or whatever the case is, an event together as a couple, that's fine. But do not just start dishing out money and giving these girls money, because they will take advantage. And I can't really blame them. It's human nature to take advantage of those that are being too nice. So men or women, they will take advantage, and I don't want that to be you. So make sure, guys, that you're putting your foot down, you're putting in boundaries, because if not, this is a situation you can get yourself into where you're literally having these girls take money from you every week, every day, every month. They're cheating on you. They're not being loyal. They're not being genuine with you. And then on top of that, they probably have a whole rotation of men that they're doing the very same thing to. And I've heard many stories about this, many horror stories where a woman will literally go on Tinder for that same reason. They'll match with a ton of Americans. And what they'll do, maybe if they get 10 of them that they're talking to, 10 Americans, which is very realistic, they're going to ask each and every single one of them for like $20, $100. 100 times 10 is what? We're talking a lot of bread right there, right? That's a lot of bread. So just imagine on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. They didn't even got to work. That literally is their job, is finessing American dudes like you. And you don't want to be that guy. So put your foot down on this, because this is something that happens to a lot of Americans, and another con about dating overseas. Number 4 is danger. Now, I'm not trying to say that America isn't dangerous, because it is, right? There are certain neighborhoods here in America that gun violence is out of control. The homicide rate is out of control. Brothers and sisters getting deleted left and right. Mass shootings. We have a lot of danger here. But danger does exist in other countries too, depending on where you're going. There's safe areas, but there's also dangerous areas, just like here in America. So be very careful. This is why I'm saying you need to prepare. If you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Okay, remember that. If you guys can take anything from this video, is that quote that I just said. If you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Meaning, if you go to these countries and you have no idea what are the best neighborhoods to live at, because all you're there for is the women, you're in for it, man, because you might be staying in a very dangerous neighborhood where there's a lot of people that are looking to rob you. And knowing your dumb ass, you'll be wearing designer and jewelry, flashing around like you are here in America over there, because that's one of the worst things y'all could do. I know I was talking about throwing money up in the air and all that, but that's another thing. Do not wear jewelry in Latin America specifically Latin America. You can get away with that here in America, in Europe, somewhat, Asia, whatever. But you do that in South America, in Latin America, you are asking to get robbed. Everybody knows in Latin America not ever to wear jewelry, because that is one of the number one ways you are making yourself a target. They will literally snatch you, literally come at you, gunpoint, knife point to rob you. Do not do that, okay? So stay away from that. Stay away from wearing jewelry. Stay away from certain neighborhoods. Do your research on what are the best neighborhoods to be at. Another thing I want to talk about when it comes to danger, because like I said, there's motorcycles as well, where they'll have 2 guys on a motorcycle. One of them will be maneuvering the motorcycle. The other one has a gun ready to rob you. If they point a gun at you, asking you for whatever it is, money, phone, whatever, you give it to them. Do not be the typical American and try to fight them or run after them, because they will shoot you. And most likely, they probably will get away with it, because law enforcement in some of these countries aren't really as good as ours over here in America. Not saying ours is perfect, but some of these countries have very corrupt police departments, right? Where literally people can pay them off to keep shut, or pay them off to stop investigating certain cases. So be careful. Do not run after these people. Do not fight them. Just give them your shit. It's better to have your life than be deleted. Another thing when it comes to specific countries, there has been a rise in scopolamine cases. They can pop something in your drink. They can blow something into your, it comes in different forms, right? There's pills, there's like powder. They blow into your face like this, or whatever the case is. They have different ways. These people are very genius. They're very creative, okay? Be very careful with your drinks. Be very careful what people you're hanging around. Not everyone is your enemy overseas, but not everyone is your friend. So you need to go with your gut feeling. So if you feel something's too good to be true, do not go in for it. It's better to be safe than sorry. I know sometimes it could be a little tempting, especially when it comes to women, right? Where you have this woman where it's like, hey, can I bring my friend over? And ding, in your head, you start to imagine you with two women in a beautiful balcony in a pool doing your thing, right? However, do not fall for that trap. That's exactly what they want you to think. They want you to think that it's going to lead to a threesome. So that way, when they bring the homegirl over, it's going to start that way. But what they're trying to do is plot on your ass to rob you for everything you got in your apartment, and they're out of there. And the thing is, you might get deleted because of that. Because you don't know how your body's going to react. You don't know if you're going to overdose on that. So that's the thing, guys, is make sure you're vetting people correctly. All right, man or woman, make sure to vet them. Don't let anyone into your inner circle, anyone into your apartment in certain countries, because you don't know what their intentions are. Because as an American, you do have a target on your back. So, we do have privileges as American, but we also have a lot of disadvantages as Americans. And one of them is you are a target because you are perceived as a money maker. Number 5 is the distance and the expenses. Now, guys, it's tough. So if you do meet a great woman overseas, maybe she's in a different continent, hours away from you by plane, it can be a little tough because you're going to miss this person a lot. They're going to miss you. When you're together, it's going to be very brief. It's going to be for a week because a lot of us Americans don't have that much vacation time to work with. We'd be lucky to get 2 weeks of vacation time. You're not going to really be with this person too much. When you are, things are going to feel very quick, very to the point. When you're leaving from each other, it's going to be super emotional. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. There have been times with my ex, shout out to her, but there were times I was literally crying in the plane and all that because it's like you're very attached to this individual. Yeah, you build a lot of special memories because that's the thing about going overseas, guys, and dating overseas is that there's no greater feeling. I don't think I've ever experienced a greater feeling than to go somewhere new that's awesome with a beautiful woman, a beautiful foreign woman to be exact. I don't think there's anything better than that. Besides obviously being a billionaire, trillionaire, right? But I don't think there's anything better like from a feeling aspect than that. You build this special connection. You make all these great memories. And just for you to be separated from this individual for a couple months and then repeat the whole process again. So it's like constant heartbreak because you're separating from this individual. You don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. You're constantly in paranoia because you think they're cheating on you or talking to someone else. Another thing that I want to include in this that doesn't really have to do with it, but something I want to include just because is the judgment that's going to come with dating someone overseas. As soon as you open your mouth and you tell people that you're dating someone overseas, they're going to be like, what? Why are you dating someone overseas? There's a lot of beautiful women here. Why are you dating overseas? And then they're going to start to think that you're a weirdo because you're dating someone overseas. And then they're going to start to think, all right, this guy's, getting finessed. He's getting used. When for all you know, this girl's probably the biggest angel in the world. She's probably in her fucking bedroom reading the Bible and shit. You will never know that, right? Right? You have to give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes. But that's the thing is people are going to judge the F out of you. You're going to be longing for this person. You have to constantly be planning trips with this individual, meaning that, of course, my next thing, the expenses. It's going to be very expensive seeing this individual. Me and my ex, for example, I used to spend hella bread for these plane tickets to go see her. You have to understand that this lifestyle is expensive. It's not cheap. Now, when you get to that country, it could be cheap, right? So, for example, when I went to Turkey, cheap, right? It was cheap. I mean, it was a little more expensive because I was paying for her and I, right? Because I'm a gentleman. Obviously, I'm not going to make this girl pay, especially if that's my girlfriend, right? She was my girlfriend. But yeah, it's double the price. So it adds up, but it's still a cheap country. But I meant expensive in terms of the airplane ticket and the stay, the accommodation. Those are the top 2 most expensive things you're going to be dealing with overseas. A plane ticket to certain countries, a minimum of $1,000. All right, if you're paying for her plane ticket, probably just as much. Who knows? If you're paying for accommodation, I'm bougie. I like to stay in good places. I'm paying nearly $1,000 just for that because I like to stay in good places and good areas. Like I said, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So I'd rather dish out the extra couple $100 to stay in a good location that has good amenities where I can enjoy myself in that Airbnb. So if you're like me, you're going to be spending at least $1,000 for stay, depending how long you're going to be there. So we're talking a couple grand just on accommodation and flights, on top of the amount of stuff you're going to be paying for the events, the food, anything else that pops up. So that's money right there. You're spending a couple $1,000s just on that. So now imagine doing that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however much times a year until you get the visa for her to come here, or vice versa, where you go over there. That's gonna be hella bread. So yeah, get prepared for that, guys. So make sure if you are gonna date overseas that you're financially, mentally, and spiritually prepared to do it, because while it is great, there are a lot of challenges. But here's a bonus when it comes to that, and this is coming from the perspective of an individual that's just getting overseas, that's seeing what's out there, and a person that's single. So maybe your intentions was to meet someone overseas and date seriously, right? But then you see all the options and you're like, whoa, why in the hell would I ever want to settle down? You have the most beautiful women on the planet here. They all want me. It's going to be very difficult for you to want to settle down. And that is a Pandora box. Like, I literally tell a lot of people, like, sometimes when you go overseas, you're opening up a Pandora box you can never close, right? I literally made a video about this where I said that dating overseas is one of the worst things that ever happened to me. One of the worst things you guys can ever do is date overseas. Dating overseas is the worst thing that you can ever do as a man. And you want to know why? Because once you date overseas, you can't go back. Once you date overseas, when you come back, everything's just going to be so much harder for you. Because the thing is, now I don't view life the same. I don't view dating the same anymore. Especially here in the United States, where I'm in the United States and I see the treatment a lot of guys are getting from the women here. Not saying American women suck, but they're not getting the best treatment. They're getting ignored. They're getting left on red. They're getting flaked on, right? They're getting played or finessed. And then they go to a place like a Colombia, Brazil, where the women are super feminine, super beautiful, super awesome to be around. Things are cheaper, where you're able to afford the luxury things of life, right? The luxurious things of life. And now you're like, why in the hell would I ever want to date in America again? And then number two, why would I ever want to settle down? Especially in a place like Colombia and Brazil. Why would you ever want to settle down? That's the questions you're saying yourself in your head. And that's what I'm saying, guys. Just be prepared for that. If that's something you can't handle, don't even go overseas. Because trust me, it could ruin your life. Because I've said this before, some men handle it better than others. Some men know how to handle that very well, and they settle down and they're fine. But some men get into the trap where they're constantly going on trips to these countries, seeing different women, sleeping with different women. They never end up settling down. Life passes them by. And then next thing you know, you have nothing really to show for it, because all you've been doing is chasing tail your whole life. So if you guys are going to dive into this lifestyle, understand that, hey, not everything is good with this. Make sure that you're investing into something if you are traveling overseas. So if you really like a country, make sure you're investing into some type of property and maybe open up a business, something that 10 years down the road, you'll be like, hey, I have something to show for this, right? I've been coming to Colombia all these years, but guess what? I have a business. I have an apartment. I'm making some type of money off of here. I got a girl. You want something to show, because the problem is time will pass you by very quickly. This lifestyle is very fast paced, because it's kind of like your life becomes all about the next trip and the next trip and the next trip. And in between those trips, time goes by very quickly, because you're going to be planning in between those trips, and life's going to pass you by very quickly. So make sure you're doing something in between that time to make it all worthwhile. And trust me, guys, if you can't handle this lifestyle, just don't dive into it. But besides that, guys, I just want to close it out with that. But dating overseas is phenomenal. It is fantastic if you can find yourself a very great woman. However, I just stated all the cons that come with that, and you just need to be aware with this and be better prepared, because as I said, if you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail.